Straight Talk, home for those who love to think. How are you today, Mr. Harris?
I'm okay today, Mr. Solomon.
I'm going to question that, my friend.
Yeah, no, I thought I'd turn the corner with this illness, but I woke up this morning feeling kind of crappy, kind of almost achy, and I'll be honest with you, the thought crossed my mind, I wonder if I've got COVID. But of course, I'm not going to talk myself into that. I don't think I do.
Well, don't worry about it. Either way, I'm not going to get it.
Maybe I'll test myself tomorrow. But yeah, no, I'm not feeling 100%. Thankfully, my voice is still intact at the moment. But I'm hoping it was just the weather. Certainly, it was a nice weekend weather-wise. Some lovely rain over the weekend, Saturday and on Sunday. A little bit of rain this morning as well at dark 30. So I'm hoping it was just the rain. But yeah, not firing on all cylinders today, pal of mine.
Well, I'm going to say something about being sick.
Yeah.
I had a helper many years ago, and I never used to get sick. So she said to me, Ellio, the day you get sick, you're going to be sick for a long time. And without me getting into the specific details of it, I remember getting sick.
Okay.
Although I must say, like Humpty, I was pushed. I was nudged in that direction.
Were you sick for a long time?
I was sick for quite a while.
Wow.
Well, I mean, it was a situation in a general way where I had family members directly that were sick, and it was about the stress. And then you go to the doctor, say, "Hey, can you give me something to help me sleep?" And boy, was that a mistake.
They gave you some purple elephant pills.
Yeah, they gave me something that wasn't right. But I say all that to say, one comfort that I found is that I just woke up every day and I said, as long as I'm eating the right things, I drink the right things, I do the right things,
right,
gives a crap, because I know I'm on my way out.
Good deal.
And so just encourage you, I should have brought you a smoothie today.
Should have. That's all right.
But make sure you drink your water.
I'm on my water. I'm on my
okay, there you go.
My olive oil.
Mm.
I'm
you get the lemon and all kinds of good
lemon and honey. Of course, I'm still on a few pharmaceuticals. My old go-to is NyQuil at night, the nighttime NyQuil, and then the DayQuil during the day.
Isn't the NyQuil supposed to be the sniffling snuff? What is it? Sniffling?
The nighttime sniffling, coughing, sneezing medicine to help you sleep better at night.
Yeah, sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head, fever.
There you go.
Rest medicine.
There you go.
So you can rest medicine.
So you can rest medicine. That's right. That's right.
But, the thing is...
I always thought that was great marketing, and that's why it's my go-to medication.
Sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head, fever, so you can rest medicine.
Yeah, so you can rest better at night.
While you take medicine. But, so you'll be fine. Don't let your mind go in the negative.
I won't.
Just do the positive things, keep walking, and you'll be out of the bushes pretty soon.
Thanks. Well, it was Moneypenny who threw the COVID question on me just as I walked in the door. I hope it's not COVID. And I go, don't you dare snip, be quiet. As we say, don't put your mouth on me.
Yeah, I'm sure she didn't mean it in a bad way.
She didn't mean it in a bad way. No, she never does.
She's a wonderful person.
She is a wonderful person. Well, speaking of weather, and hopefully folks got some rain over the weekend wherever you lived. I certainly got it in Georgetown. Light winds and slight seas, along with some isolated thunder showers, are forecast for the Cayman area during the next 24 hours due to a weak pressure gradient currently making its way across the Northwest Caribbean. Taking a look here locally at home tonight, we can expect winds out of the east at 5 to 10 knots. Sea state will be slight with wave heights of 1 to 3 feet. Temperatures expected to reach a low of 82 degrees. That's one thing I've noticed, even though with the rain, night times are still almost just as warm as the daytime. So, definitely summer is here. Presently, outside on Godfrey Nixon Way, the temperature is 89 degrees, but still feels closer to 102 degrees in the shade. So that's a quick look at your weather, brought to you by the National Weather Forecast. Taking a look as we extend into the rest of the week. Mostly partly cloudy skies Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, all the way until Friday. Isolated showers on Saturday and partly cloudy again on Sunday. But that is expected to change as we get through each passing day. So I wouldn't take that one, take that with a grain of salt is what I would recommend.
Just don't put too much money on it.
Yeah, definitely don't put too much money on it. If you can avoid it, Don't put any money at all because
There
I'm
you
just
go.
saying
I'm sensing my buddies cheering up.
it's not a safe bet. I'm just saying, just from experience.
It's from experience.
Just from experience.
I mean, not that we have that kind of money to gamble. If there's anyone in the room that can gamble, it'd be you, right? 52 million, I think it
Of
is.
course, yeah, 52 million. That's right. Don't you forget about it. Good news before we kick it off into show mode. Pirates Week 2025 is just around the corner. And we're promised now from not one but two ministers that Pirates Week will showcase not the swashbuckling, drunken, fighting, stupor, stealing, and
Well, what
wenching
can it be this
that
time?
goes with pirates, but more of a showcase on Caymanian culture and heritage. The Ministry of Tourism and the Ministry of Culture have joined forces for the return of the country's national festival, Pirates Week, unveiling the official theme and dates for 2025. Culture Minister Isaac Rankin said at a joint ministerial press conference last week that the plan is to take it back to what made us successful in the beginning, and that has never failed. So we're going to go back to what is tried and proven and get that done to make our Pirates Week 2025 successful. Meanwhile, Tourism Minister, the Honorable Gary Ruddy, said this year's festival is a collaborative effort between the two ministries designed not only to attract and promote visitors, but also to showcase this year's theme, which is That's Cayman, our national treasure, which serves as a reminder of what makes the Cayman Islands unique, our people, our tradition, and of course our stories, Minister Rankin said. It's a call to honor, he said, and uplift the cultural legacy that continues to shape who we are. Planned to take place across all three Cayman Islands between the 8th and 15th of November on Grand Cayman and on November 21st on Cayman Brac, and yes, you guessed it, on November 22nd on Little Cayman. The festival promises to be an inclusive and family-friendly celebration, welcoming residents and visitors alike to enjoy a full calendar of exciting events, cultural displays, heritage activities, local music, of course, delicious food, and so much more. The festival will also include district days, a Georgetown pub crawl, because after all, what would be Pirates Week without a pub crawl? The Pirates Week landing and trial of the governor, a floating parade, a float parade, not a floating parade, a float parade and food festival, as well as the usual half-mile Georgetown sea swim, a heritage king and queen competition, a steel pan band competition, a turtle release and stage parties, culture, and other things that will remind our people of our rich heritage. The tourism minister said the full schedule is currently being finalized and will be officially announced by the 1st of September. Meanwhile, in the coming weeks, the ministries will be issuing a call for sponsors and vendors to get involved in the festivities. So if you're a restaurant or you're just a good chef and you want to make sure you get some premium placement at this year's 2025 Pirates Week, you might want to be on the lookout in the Ministry of Tourism and the Ministry of Culture for some opportunities in which to register. So there you go.
So now, did they say businesses or did they say individuals, Mr. Harris?
Well, they didn't say either. What did they say? The exact words were, the ministry will be issuing a call for sponsors and vendors to get involved.
So more on the business side.
I suspect probably more on the business side, but sponsors and vendors could be both.
So, so I think that first of all, I heard him say "That's Cayman." Isn't that a song with
by
Dave Martin?
Martins, yeah.
That's Cayman.
Cayman.
Yeah,
That's a good song, by the way.
It's a good, very good song.
I
Very
like
good
that
song. So I kind of figured there was a little quote coming from there.
Yeah, That's Cayman, our national treasure, is the theme when taken together.
And then, of course, that will mean that we'll be serving turtle. That should be exciting to some of these environmentalists around here. And I hope they start by allowing all of the people. Like, I wonder if DOE is going to be there to eat turtle. I wonder if that happens.
I hope so. It's our national dish. I mean, some things, you want to protect and conserve, but keep your
But we are conserving thousands of
keep
turtles.
your conservation fingers out of my plate of turtle.
Hey, get your
You know,
finger out of my
come on.
plate.
Get your fork out of my plate. Indeed. But to your point,
Yeah.
we are certainly, conserving thousands of turtles every year, not least of which is part of the turtle hatchling or the turtle release that goes out every year. Of course, also the protecting of turtle nesting sites, the encouraging of turtle-friendly lighting.
And they said they're going to do a turtle release too, right?
They did say.
So that's what people don't understand, I mean, like, whatever that number is, right? Turtle has 100 little turtles or whatever. Little turtles.
Hatchlings, yeah.
Yeah, the hatchlings. Thank you, Austin.
You're welcome.
And, they go rushing off to the shore, and there's just a fish there just waiting to gobble them up.
Fish, birds.
And out of 100, like, maybe 6 get away.
Yeah.
So it's a big deal, pretty big deal when you can turn it around with a little bit of human intervention to make it a 90 getaway.
Yes.
Don't underestimate it just because somebody ate 5
Right.
after they farmed them for a couple of years.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just harsh. And I think that these are some of the people that come here and just don't appreciate our culture. So I hope that the minister and the ministers, the government, is going to just make sure and champion that. I remember when I was younger and you used to have all the floats. I used to love those because I remember working at Coots and Company, the time which used to be Roy West Trust, converted to Coots and Company. We had to put together the float, the coat of arms, and everybody just really put a lot of effort into coming up with their own little piece of culture on these floats. And I haven't seen those sort of things in years,
No. I remember when it used to be a family-friendly event.
Family friendly. And I'm glad you said that, Austin, because it seems to me like media, everything now is just whatever the crap it is that just going to get people to click, sex in the street. And not that we have a problem with sex, but, there's a bit more of an appropriate place to have it.
Yeah,
right?
There's a time and a place for
Time and a place for everything. It's like, So hopefully they can have some of those nice floats. And I just love the participation of when you can actually have companies getting involved, employees. I think it's a good thing, too, even especially now that you have a lot of foreign workers. If they're able to work along with the locals and put something together, that's a really great assimilation program.
Yeah.
What
and again, I'm not going to be a prude and suggest that, some of the carnival revelers who show up on our roadside at least twice a year, scantily dressed and dancing very prerogative, because both are true. And again, I'm not going to be a prude and say, oh, my God, they should really do better. But in truth and fact, it's one of the reasons why a lot of people, arguably in our age demographic, don't go anymore, because it's just not, as you say, there's a time and a place for it. But Pirates Week used to be less about an excuse to go and get naked in the street and more about the glamorous costumes that looked either more piratey, more culturally sensitive, very parrots or birds or even turtles.
Correct.
And the float parade usually matched that. So it was less about less and more about more, so to speak, both in terms of fabric, clothing on bodies, more, grandiose and colorful floats. And again, being nostalgic, I think back to, my brother and I when we were much, much younger. We get dressed up in the pirate hat and get the little plastic sword, and whether you're sword fighting each other on the road or you're joining the kids when because there's always candy, so candy's always out there. So it used to be very.
Remember they used to have the little gold coins and stuff. Yes,
that's right.
We used to kill each other for those.
You're so right. Good memory. Yes, the gold coins were wrapped in gold wrapping. And was it chocolate under there?
Sometimes they were chocolate, but they actually had the little metallic ones. I guess it was aluminum because it was very, very light.
Yes.
But
I remember that's good memory, Ellio. Very good memory. But yeah.
It's so exciting.
I'm hoping that the combination of the Ministry of Culture and the Ministry of Tourism and their goal to make it more about culture and heritage, to perhaps use the words of Minister Rankin, going back on the tried and true approach, that which was proven or what we know to work. There's still lots of time for the other type of, activities. We got KMAS, we got Batter Manu. If you really want to, again, quote unquote, get wild in the streets, hey, I'm not saying you can't, but there are other events for that.
Yeah.
Hopefully Pirates Week can be a bit more
a family affair.
Family affair, theatrics, built on the theme. I mean, again, I remember when Pirates of the Caribbean first came out, and it was huge. It took the world by storm. And certainly our Pirates Week festivities
Yeah.
naturally followed suit because it was going on whilst that movie or that whole series of movies were happening.
Mhm.
We used to have I forget, they call them pirates from wherever they were, but they'd visit
Seattle, I think.
Seattle. I said Seattle Seafaring Pirates. Yeah, they would visit. That would be a huge affair.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it was a big tourism draw, but also it used to be a big deal about our culture. And again, by focusing more on that culture and less making it about pirates, then we create that happy medium for everybody. But let's make no mistake about it.
Mm-hmm.
There were pirates in our culture. There were pirates in our history. Pedro St. James and otherwise, wasn't built by our colonial pilgrims and colonial masters, but
We still got a couple of pirates here too.
we still got a few pirates here, absolutely, that cling on to it. So, and that's not a bad thing. It's part of history. So accept it and move on.
So I heard, speaking about Pirates Week, I heard that Jamaica was going to be doing a Pirates Week now. Did you hear that?
I did hear that. Yes, I know.
So I wonder when they're going to be having their Pirates Week.
Imitation, the greatest form of flattery.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but hey, why not?
Jamaica say, if it works, it works.
If it works, it works. We'll take it on board, it takes us back to that whole cruise conversation when we had, other island nations. I think I remember when we had the opposition leader and former Prime Minister, Mr. Chastanet here.
Yeah.
And he talked about,
we look at you guys.
we look at you guys, exactly, see what you're doing because we believe you do it better than anybody in the Caribbean.
Mhm.
So, yeah, we're going to look at you as examples and we're going to copy what works. The other chap that came in, he was more than excited when he, got the sense that Cayman was going to vote no.
Gum, was it?
Gum was his name? Yeah. Because, of course, he said it. Says, I'd hate to see you lose out on tourism.
Even though we benefit.
But make no mistake, if you lose, we benefit. And
So
we're gonna
your mistake is our beefsteak.
yeah, something like that. So and there's another fact, So again, I just think anyway, these are important conversations.
Yeah, and just if I could give a quick plug, and speaking about that, want to encourage again, I think it's Tuesday next week. We're going to be having a special guest in the studio to talk about some good cruise tourism stuff that you just don't want to miss.
Absolutely not. There was an article appeared last week as it relates to cruise and the referendum. I think I'm going to save that article and the contents therein for that discussion next Tuesday. Speaking of guests, again, coming up at 5 o'clock in about 9 minutes, we are going to host the president of the Cayman Islands Football Association, CIFA. Mr. Alfredo Whitaker will be our guest here in studios after the 5 o'clock break. So you definitely want to tune into that. An opportunity to do a little follow-up on discussions that we held here in the program back in June with two football coaches, namely Coach Gilly Seymour and, of course, Roy Huda Ebanks. Came in studio, shared their thoughts, their concerns, and a few recommendations with us, which certainly we will take the opportunity to ask El Jefe, the president of CIFA, a little bit about. But he's been president for 4 years now.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously we're going to talk about, what some of the highlights have been for him in the 4 years. And like I said, we're going to try to learn a little bit more about the association, what it does, how it helps the local clubs, and also how it lends itself to be leaders in the youth development that leads its way towards the national team and, of course, our success and our failure on the global stage. So that conversation is coming up at 5 o'clock, and we want to encourage as many persons who are able to stay tuned to that, because I promise you're not going to want to miss it.
No, I know we didn't get to really ask too much about the whole idea of the football club and what CIFA or whatever. I mean, they've suffered quite a reputational blow, right, from all the stuff in the past. Not necessarily the fault of anyone who's there now, but
right.
Just wondering how they really had to cope with some of those challenges. I'm pretty sure it put a big dent, in the whole process.
Well, I imagine, certainly from the funding standpoint, I think that funding was withheld for a number of years, both from government and the private sector. They depend heavily on funding from the world governing body, FIFA. That, too, would have stopped. So undoubtedly, they very much have been in the rebuilding phase. And to your point, I think this would be some very insightful questions in which to ask our guest, and certainly we will, to see, obviously, how far they've come, and also how much further yet we may still have to go. So that conversation kicks off like I said, in about now 8 minutes before we, right after the top of the hour news brought to you by our news partner, the BBC. Sticking with some good news just for a few moments that are remaining. Bodden Town's Tahiti Seymour, the daughter of opposition MP Dwayne John Seymour, was crowned Miss Universe Cayman Islands on Saturday night in a glittering ceremony at the Westin Grand Cayman along 7 Mile Beach. Under the theme Into the Blue, the event was emceed by Shanda Gallego of the Compass Media and Mariah Tibbetts, the former Miss Cayman Islands Universe 2020 to 2021. Seymour will now go on to represent the Cayman Islands at the 74th annual Miss Universe competition, scheduled to be held in Thailand this November. In addition to the crown, she earned the titles Best in Interview, Best in Swimwear, and Best People's Choice. So,
yeah, I saw it posted on the Cayman Cruise chat a couple of days ago. I mean, congratulations. She's a very beautiful girl. I didn't know that was John's daughter, though.
I didn't know until I read the article. And the article goes,
Go, John.
Way to go, John, indeed. Absolutely.
And the mother's like, hey, what about me here? I played a very small role in this.
Just a small role, but I was a part of the action, for goodness sake.
Congratulations to you, boo.
Let's hope she looks more like her mother than she does our good friend John.
He got John to get upset. Don't get him upset.
Tahiti says, to the people of Bodden Town and the Greater Cayman Islands, I'm honored to be your ambassador. She said this over social media over the weekend. I thank, firstly, God, my family, and supporters. I love you for believing in me, and I am thrilled to be Miss Universe Cayman Islands 2025, not only to make an impact on our country for island creatives, but to connect worldwide and share our Caymanianness, which, again, I like that word, our Caymanianness. So not so much our Cayman kindness, but our Caymanianness.
Caymanianness.
That's right, exactly. So we got a new word.
Neologism for the day.
Maybe Caymaners will add my Caymanianness to the little cocktail napkins that they serve on the flight as well.
You need a little bit more Caymanianness inside of you.
That's right.
Hey, we gotta use that. We can just take that. Sorry, we're taking that.
We can take that. Caymanianness, indeed.
Yeah. Beat a little Caymanianness into them.
And on a more sober and sad note, well-known driving instructor Graham Walker passed away in his sleep last week. He was 87 years old. Graham Mackenzie Walker, who was a well-known driving instructor, as well as author of a book about the Cayman Islands driving code and learning to drive. He also founded the Cayman Employee Assistance Program and was also said to be very active in the Cayman Islands Veterans Association. He first moved to the Cayman Islands in 1989 and was active in various charities, including Cayman Against Substance Abuse, the annual Cayman Islands Air Show, and the Cayman Islands Cancer Society. Mr. Walker himself, a reformed alcoholic, certainly going sober many moons, shortly after, certainly before coming to the Cayman Islands. And as such, he helped support and encourage a lot of people on their own journey of sobriety. And he would sometimes carry meetings into the Northwood prison to encourage others to embrace a more sober lifestyle. A service of thanksgiving for the life of the late Graham Mackenzie Walker will be held on Saturday, the 20th of September at 2 p.m. at the Elmsey Memorial Church in Georgetown. And certainly on behalf of Straight Talk, we would like to also lend our voice and extend our condolences to the family and friends of the late Mr. Graham Walker. He was a fixture, particularly on the roadways. Again, we talk about imitation is the greatest form of flattery. He was probably one of the first early driving instructors, and a lot of folks just really, picked up on that idea and ran with it as well. But we have to say thank you.
Definitely.
Not every, again, we say not all foreigners are created alike. Mm-hmm. Some truly do come to this country and embrace all things Caymanian. When in Rome, they embrace Rome. They make it their own. And they add, of course, their own contribution, as Mr. Graham did, but I just want to say I think he'll be sorely missed, and we appreciate his service to our wider community and also the charities in which he was involved in.
Yeah, well, thank you for that, Austin. I echo all those sentiments as well. Had an opportunity, at least on one occasion, to have a pretty long chat with the gentleman. Yeah. Awesome person.
Terrific indeed. Absolutely. Well, it is 59 minutes past the hour, 4 o'clock, and I'm told our guest is in the foyer waiting on us to collect him. We're going to pause, take a short commercial break, check in with the top of the hour news brought to us by our news partner, the BBC. But don't go anywhere. There'll be more Straight Talk coming up next right here on Bobo FM.
Bobo. The BBC is the world's most trusted news source. And Bobo 103.1 is where you'll find the BBC World Service.
BBC News, the world news from the BBC.
And the home of Cayman's most listened to talk shows.
That's right, folks. Everyone is telling their mama about the cohort truth.
And welcome to Straight Talk. I'm your host, Austin Harris.
And I'm Ellio Solomon.
Across Cayman, on FM, online, and on your smart speaker. This is Bobo 103.1.
Welcome to our newsroom here in central London. We place ourselves here, a little desk right in the thick of things.
OS from the BBC.
We can catch the very latest news from our colleagues, not just in this enormous room, but also from our colleagues around the world.
I'm in the room where they're treating children.
This is a combat zone.
The situation after the typhoon is very complicated.
It was a very tense situation.
OS from the BBC.
The home of the BBC World Service. This is Bobo FM.
BBC News.
BBC News.
World news from the BBC. Violent clashes.
Thick black smoke.
A tremendous legal victory.
Crucial elections.
Destructive wind.
A search and recovery operation.
A race against time.
An imminent threat.
Flying a drone over a rival team's training session.
Whatever is happening, wherever it's happening, catch up with the latest news bulletins from the BBC.
The home of the BBC World Service. This is Bobo FM. This is Bobo 103.1, powered by Health Services Authority. At Health Services Authority, they are committed to caring for you. They are Cayman's largest and longest-standing healthcare provider, offering the most comprehensive range of inpatient, outpatient, and public health services at 9 different locations across all 3 islands. Across Cayman on 103.1 FM, online, and on your smart speaker. The home of the BBC World Service. This is Bobo 103.1.
BBC World News, I'm Tom Dewsbury. Hello. The Democratic Mayor of Washington, D.C., Muriel Bowser, says President Trump's deployment of the National Guard to the city is unsettling and unprecedented. She rejected his claims that crime in the capital city was out of control, pointing to a huge reduction in recent years. Our correspondent Tom Bateman looks at the proposed role of the Army in Mr. Trump's plans.
What the Army is saying, that there will be in shifts of around 200 troops at a time, and that they will largely be involved in administrative and logistical roles, they say, to then free up police officers to do more frontline law enforcement. So it seems that largely these troops will be in desk jobs or office jobs or some behind-the-scenes roles, not necessarily out in cars catching criminals, as it were. So not necessarily much of a visible presence.
US media say President Trump's agreed a delay in the imposition of higher tariffs on Chinese goods as talks continue on a trade agreement. Reports say he's signed an executive order postponing these steeper duties for another 90 days. US tariffs had been due to soar, possibly to more than 100% on Tuesday. The British Prime Minister Keir Starmer and his Canadian counterpart Mark Carney have said a peace agreement for Ukraine must not be imposed on the country, but built with it. Their warning comes ahead of a summit between President Trump and the Russian leader in Alaska on Friday, which has led to concerns Ukraine and Europe are being sidelined. Earlier, Mr. Trump repeated that Kiev and Moscow would both have to cede land to end the war. Here's Danny Aberhard.
President Trump's latest comments on his planned meeting with Vladimir Putin won't soothe jitters in Kiev and among European leaders. Mr. Trump spoke of what he called land swapping. He didn't specify precisely what he meant, but Kiev fears he means swapping Ukrainian land that Russia illegally occupies for other Ukrainian land. It and its European allies view such a prospect with horror. President Zelensky has rejected ceding Ukrainian territory.
There have been calls for a thorough investigation into the killing of the Colombian senator and presidential hopeful Miguel Uribe. The Conservative politician died today from gunshot wounds sustained at a campaign rally in June. The UN Secretary-General said those responsible must be brought to justice, a call echoed by Washington. The attack has shaken Colombia, where memories of political violence remain raw. Nelsie Patricia Pinzon, a resident of the capital Bogota, said the assassination was a sign of rising violence in the country.
Violence is already here. It already exists. This government has allowed the violence that was experienced in the 1990s and early 2000s to return. And today we saw it with his death. Homicides are a serious problem for the country.
World News from the BBC. Iraq has been hit by a nationwide electricity outage after a power plant shut down amid a consumption surge caused by extreme hot weather. The government urged people to reduce their usage as engineers work to restore power. The blackouts left most Iraqis without fans or air conditioning in temperatures approaching 50 Celsius. The Nigerian Air Force says it's carried out raids on the hideouts of criminal gangs in a forest area in northwestern Zamfara state, killing what it said were scores of bandits. It said the precision airstrikes and a ground assault were in response to alleged plans to invade a farming community. The US State Department says it's designating the Pakistani separatist group, the Baluchistan Liberation Army, or BLA, as a foreign terrorist organization. The BLA is the strongest of a number of insurgent groups long operating in the province of Baluchistan, bordering Iran and Afghanistan. And Barasan Etirajan has more details.
The State Department said its action demonstrated President Trump administration's commitment to countering terrorism. The Baloch rebels, who want a greater political autonomy and a larger share of natural resources from the region, have carried out deadly attacks on security forces and other targets. The foreign terrorist organization designation triggers restrictions on providing financial support and other aid to the group in the U.S. Hundreds of people have been killed in the insurgency, and rights groups accuse the Pakistani military of extrajudicial killings and enforced disappearances, a charge denied by Pakistan.
Police in the Indian capital Delhi have detained a number of animal rights activists during demonstrations on Monday night against plans to remove all stray dogs from the city's streets. Earlier, the Supreme Court ordered the authorities to round up the animals and put them in shelters following a spate of attacks. BBC World News.
The views and opinions expressed on Straight Talk with Austin and Ellio do not necessarily reflect or represent the views of Stingray Media, its staff, or contributors. Callers to the program accept full responsibility for the views expressed. The show host and affiliates are not liable for any statements made or any harm claimed. All callers to the program indemnify Straight Talk from all claims. Offensive, defamatory, or unlawful content will not be tolerated. Be a part of the conversation by calling 745-2626. Now, here's Straight Talk with Austin and Ellio on Bobo 103.1.
And welcome back in, man, to more Straight Talk here on Bobo 103.1 FM and simulcasting live over Facebook and YouTube under the key search word Straight Talk Radio Show. You can also find us streaming live on the ACT Cruise Tourism Facebook page. We're your host, Ellio Solomon, and myself, Austin Harris, and it's a pleasure as we seek to welcome our evening's guest to the studio. Certainly a name that is well known on the football landscape, from both being a player, then becoming a referee, and now for the last almost 8 years, the president of the Cayman Islands Football Association. Mr. Alfredo Whitaker is our distinguished guest this evening. And good evening to you, Alfredo, if I may call you by your first name, and welcome to Straight Talk.
Thank you, and definitely it's a pleasure to be here with you all to share this this evening, this hour, maybe a little bit more.
Yes.
And especially to answer questions, to talk about what CIFA is at this time and our direction that we're heading forward to.
Fabulous. Well, we thank you again for reaching out, and certainly we're grateful to have a little bit of your time and to share a little bit about what's been happening during your almost 8 years at the helm of the Cayman Islands Football Association. We were talking, in the lead up to the program, that the Football Association has gone through its own share of rocky roads. There were years of rebuilding. Things like trust and integrity were brought into question, and undoubtedly that had to, filter into both the leadership as well as even further down the line in terms of the clubs in the Cayman Islands. Maybe you can begin by telling us, in the almost 8 years of being at the helm of the organization, have we turned the proverbial corner as it may relate to those darker days, regrettably, Jeff Webb and others who cast a very black cloud over the game of football in the Cayman Islands, and certainly cost you as an organization significant funding, not only from the international regional body of FIFA, but the support from the government, and that, of course, spilled over to a lack of support from the business and private sector. And undoubtedly, that had to harm, if not greatly damage, the sport of football in the Cayman Islands. Have we turned that proverbial corner?
The answer is capital yes. We turned that. We closed that chapter. We're moving forward. I'm very, very happy with the image that the Cayman Island Football Association has right now with our bosses, that is FIFA and CONCACAF, where some of the implementation that we had established at our association is being used around the world and how things should be done. So I'm very pleased and very happy about that.
I was wondering, I don't want to take up too much time with it, but I think a lot of persons listening would have only been hearing all of this information that you were going through as an organization purely from the outside. There wasn't a lot of inside information. Could you just give us some of the highlights in terms of some of the challenges that you face? My colleague just talked about the lack of funding, and just share with us what it was like during that time.
Difficult and painful. When I get elected, I really didn't have idea that CIFA was in such a terrible stage.
Mm-hmm.
And I get invitation from the president of FIFA and the managing director of the Finance and Ethics Committee. So we had a long talk in Zurich, and there was quite a few things that we had to do, that we had to comply with. And upon arrival back into the Cayman Islands, we start to do it.
Mm-hmm.
The first part was we had to do a forensic audit. And they was asking from 2015.
Mm-hmm.
We went a little bit further and did 2014 with Grant Thornton. Upon conclusion, that audit was obviously presented to FIFA, to CONCACAF, and was shared with our club members later on at one of our AGM. Then we start to work in implementing and clearing, especially our finance that was always a question mark. So at this time, I could bossy say that
pat yourself on the shoulder a little bit.
FIFA Finance is one of the clearest and most reliable finance at the CONCACAF and FIFA level. Whenever we have to do audit, whenever FIFA send the auditors or CONCACAF send the auditors here, it used to take a week, 2 weeks. Now that get done 2 days, because we report on a monthly basis to them what the expenses are. We eliminate the treasurer and all of that, finance committee, all of that don't exist anymore. It still should be there by constitution, but we decide to go with independent company. In this case, Rondon and his company, Fincor.
Mm-hmm.
Those are our finance company that they pretty much in charge of absolutely everything.
And I guess you felt that would have lent the additional credibility that you needed. One last thing I just want to ask on that particular issue, because, you know, there's one thing about leading. That's always a challenge. And now when you talk about not having any finance, and that must have been very, very difficult, and I imagine the morale of the persons in the organization must have been low. How did you deal with that personally?
Well, you have to be creative, and you have to have knowledge of what you're doing. Definitely you need contacts. Without contacts is almost impossible. So in a further meeting that we had with FIFA, we say, all right, you have all of this money that belongs to the Cayman Islands. You haven't released it because you're not comfortable in the organization. But you cannot stop football from taking place. You cannot stop from our national team from participating internationally. You cannot penalize the club. So we have this, you have this money here for us. I'm going to get all of my national teams prepared. I'm going to get all of the national teams of the Cayman Islands to participate in every single international tournament that is being organized. And you're all going to be the responsible person to pay for the airfare, hotels, food, and so forth. That was the first agreement, and that worked fantastic for us. And then after that, we had a surprise visit that was not in the agenda of the president of FIFA and his group. He was accompanied by the president of CONCACAF. And I received a call 24 hours. We're coming to the Cayman Islands. We would like to have a meeting with you. We only have 2 hours. So prepare what you have and see where you are at this point. Okay. Well, that meeting, instead of 2 hours, it went to 4.5 hours. And upon leaving, the president was very impressed in what we had done without the funding from FIFA. And he guaranteed that in month time, 2 months time maximum, the Cayman Islands would be out of the red, out of the dark where we were, and would be able to have access to the full funding. And since then, we've been good.
Pretty good.
We've been going a lot of good things.
Excellent. As president of CIFA, what would you, or how would you describe the role of the association and its wider vision for the sport of football in the Cayman Islands under your leadership?
It's been a drastic change, Austin. And it started where we organized the league. We have a much better competitive league. We have a well-defined national team program. We have a well-defined youth development program that could be better, could be much better. But these are the pillars to success. And to add to that is when you have clear finance report, when you could sit down with your clubs that at the end of the day are the heart of CIFA. Those are the clubs are the association, we are administration. And you could explain to them and you could provide them with clear reports, with clean reports, where the clubs have access to your finance, where they could look at it before approving it, where you could go to CIFA website and you could see the finance report. That it may be wrong, I may be wrong, but it's just a few sport organizations that have these kind of report. So you will still have a small group or a big group of people that would constantly criticize without knowing. We cannot avoid that. Regardless of how good you do or how well you have established, there is always someone that will criticize and want to see it done better. But the reality is that from where CIFA was to where we are right now, it should be more recognized. And maybe because I am I'm not one of those that always walking around going to television station or radio station and talking about this and making all of these big publicities in Facebook and Instagram. Maybe that's the reason why. But the accomplishment, I'm extremely happy with it. I'm very, very happy with it.
Well, speaking of those accomplishments, in the 7, almost 8 years that you've been at the helm, again, my colleague talked about the struggles that you encountered when you first took over, the decisions you had to take, the questions that you were asked of FIFA, of CONCACAF, of government. You had to turn it all around. What would you say, looking back on it, have been some of your major accomplishments or things that you were most proud of having a hand in over the course of the last 7, almost 8 years?
Number one, to bring back the recognition and the respect of CIFA as an institution. We didn't have that respect. They look at us like nothing. And with work, dedication, personality, and big fight, when it comes to the association, when it comes to football, because of what it means for me, I'm a fighter. I'm not going down without fighting. So some things you demand and some things you earn. And in this case, I could probably say that because of what has been done, we earned that respect from FIFA, from the president, from CONCACAF, from his president, and from the rest of the members association. That's number one. Secondly, to finally go to the clubs and give the clubs real assistance, monetary assistance, equipment, and have an open conversation where they could call and they're going to get an answer. Where the club could come to me, and he talk to you. We set up meetings, we sit down, we talk, we discuss, and we try to execute. Thirdly, that I think is key for whatever going to be the success of Cayman football in a couple of years from now, is finally to look at our center of excellence and say it happening, it taking place. It's not every association in the world, in our region, not in the world, I'll correct that, take that back, go and sit down and say, we have 3 full-size football field, we have a building, we have a mini stadium that belong to us, where the club have access, where the kids from the street don't have to worry about nobody running them off the field or so forth, and then they could come and play there. Where we're going to have finally a building where we could accommodate some of our players that have need, that we could give really return and do what football is capable of doing, and not only football, sports. And this is important because if we could get 50-60% of the sports fraternity in Cayman to look in that direction, believe me we would have much, much more impact in our community that is screaming for help. We right now are so divided when it comes to that, and it shouldn't be like that. So that for me, Austin is 3 of the big success that we have achieved in these past 7 years.
And I think those certainly are significant successes, and you have every right to be proud of them. You talked about funding in numbers, and at 22 minutes past the hour of 5 o'clock, with your permission, I want to talk about some of those numbers so that we can get a better picture and understanding of what is CIFA, what it's capable of doing, and certainly what it simply can't do. You talked about having, as it exists in all organizations, those who are supporters, those who are with you, and perhaps over in the corner you have folks that will be more critical of you, suggesting that you're not doing enough. Well, we want to talk about, what that enough looks like and, how you get there. Maybe you can start by telling us, what is the CIFA annual budget? What do you receive in funding, and from where?
CIFA annual budget sometimes is over $2 million that would go to domestic competition, national team travels, stipend for the coaches, stipend for the players, because now all of our senior men and senior women national team have a training stipend, and when they go away, they have a travel stipend. So the moment the player leave here, they know that every day they're going to receive, or they will receive, $100 daily allowance, and for training, they receive $30 to help with whatever they want to use it with. That go for the female and males. All of the national team staff, they don't do it for free anymore. They have a monthly stipend, and when they travel, they also have their travel allowance. So the biggest portion of that goes towards travels. We participate in every tournament, and every year we have our senior men and our senior women national team that travel to Europe to do a training camp. If things are good, they probably go twice a year, so we could get them out of the regular atmosphere. So our budget is high, and then we have the project.
So when you say it's high, you're saying that you believe it's sufficient?
Well, in football, money is never sufficient, right? Because the more you have, the more the teams want to be treated like professionals, especially national teams. And we keep having our local players that keep talking about professional league. We need a professional league. Cayman could run a professional league, but it's not so. Right? We have to be realistic with this. When we hear about countries like St. Lucia, that we have a semi-professional league because the government gave us, $40 million. But that's not Cayman dollars. That's not US dollars. That's EC. So when you split it with all of the players and all of the clubs, each player receive, and I did this investigation, roughly $175 per month. And then we call it a semi-professional league. That in Cayman is not going to work. Right? So.
Well, we did actually the math as to what it would cost the country on, again, an average meager scale, but maybe we'll talk about that a bit further on in the conversation. Also, we believe that is less of a conversation for the president of FIFA and more of a conversation for the Minister of Sport. But whilst we have it there, has CIFA, or does CIFA enjoy the collaboration, if not full partnership, of the Ministry of Sports now, when perhaps it may not have in those dark days?
We have a good relationship with the Ministry of Sports. I cannot talk about the past, but I think that we had that collaboration also, because CIFA was organizing at the time the U15 entirely here in the Cayman Islands of the CONCACAF U15. We also organized the U20 World Cup qualifiers for girls. So we had important events in Cayman. Unfortunately, now there is a number of reasons why we cannot have it, especially because the demand of better quality in stadiums and pitches, electricity, because everything goes live now, we don't have it. We have to be playing, and many people don't know this, and we get criticized because of that, but we have to be playing in Cayman at 2 o'clock, at 3 o'clock, because the light that we have at Trumabon is simply not the best to have a live game at 7 o'clock at night. The high definition is not there. The sponsors that pay all of these big bucks now don't want to see these dark shades. They want to see it like daytime. So all of these things had create some sort of difficulties for us to operate as how we used to operate in the past. But the relationship with the ministry is good. I'm sure it will get better. because he always attend games. He always call and asks about results, and so it's good, really good.
All right. It is 29 minutes past the hour of 5 o'clock. But when we talk about finances, and we want to pick up on this when we come back, because you stated that your financial statements are online. As an organization, you're very transparent. So online, amongst the things you can find are the 2024 annual statements, as well as the budget forecast and estimates for 2025. And it shows for 2024, CIFA received $2.39 million, $2,390,000 as a budget for 2024. We're going to pick up that conversation and where that money goes when we return with our guest, CIFA President Alfredo Whitaker, right here on Straight Talk.
More Straight Talk with Austin and Ellio coming up. Be a part of the conversation by calling 745-2626. Bobo 103.1.
Looking for TVs, electronics, sound systems, speakers, gaming consoles, games, and smart home gadgets? Shop Cost You Less.
Looking for housewares, small appliances, fans, mini fridges, and cooling? Shop Cost You Less.
Looking for baby supplies, toys and games, pet supplies, cleaning supplies, and auto supplies? Shop Cost You Less.
Looking for quality produce, grass-fed meats, and groceries? You guessed it. Shop Cost You Less.
Cost You Less is your destination for everything you need on island. Cost You Less. Everyday low prices on items that matter to you.
The Office Hero. To claim this title, you have to make an exceedingly wise decision. Do something that benefits staff, impresses clients, all while keeping expenses low. Are you ready to be the Office Hero? Here's what to do. Call Hughes Cleaning Service. Hughes Cleaning Service will make your office shine and you a hero. Dusting, vacuuming, windows, sanitizing, and more. Hughes expert cleaners will make your office a healthy, immaculate, impressive workspace. Call 949-0734. Visit hughes-janitorial.com. Hughes, you get more than clean.
Drinking water is vital to our health. At Cayman Water, we use reverse osmosis desalination to ensure safe drinking water. A semi-permeable membrane allows fresh water to pass through, blocking out contaminants. Then, we finish with a post-treatment process and conduct frequent extensive testing to ensure that you get healthy drinking water with an average pH of 7. Not only is water out of your tap safe to drink, it's approximately 400 times less expensive than bottled water. Help to reduce plastics and save our planet. Cayman Water cares. Learn more at caymanwater.com.
Have your engine driving like never before with Pure 93, the highest pure octane fuel in Cayman and available exclusively at Rubis service stations. Pure 93 protects against engine knock, restores lost power and acceleration, cleans fuel injectors, intake valves, removes engine deposits, improves your fuel economy, and it meets international specification requirements for your car. Fill up with Pure 93 now and keep your engine running like new. Fuel the difference with Pure 93, available exclusively at Rubis.
When it comes to weekly meal prep, I trust Kirk Market to provide the best value for quality proteins. The butchers at Kirk Market are super helpful. They always slice my steaks perfectly. Kirk Market has everything I need for healthy and flavorful protein-packed meals. From lean cuts of CAB choice beef, tender CAB prime beef, the juiciest pork, and all-natural hormone-free poultry, to their seafood section with everything from fresh local snapper to omega-3 rich salmon. I choose Kirk Market for the highest quality proteins to support my healthy lifestyle. Kirk Market. Eat well, live well, and discover a world of choice.
With you in mind, we have your style. Find what you need down every aisle. You want saving, selection, and quality. That's why we're your home store. The way to make a home. The way to make a home.
Across Cayman on FM, online, and on your smart speaker. This is Bobo 103.1. Powered by Health Services Authority. Committed to caring for you. The views and opinions expressed on Straight Talk with Austin and Ellio do not necessarily reflect or represent the views of Stingray Media, its staff, or contributors. Callers to the program accept full responsibility for the views expressed. The show host and affiliates are not liable for any statements made or any harm claimed. All callers to the program indemnify Straight Talk from all claims. Offensive, defamatory, or unlawful content will not be tolerated. Be a part of the conversation by calling 745-2626. Straight Talk with Austin and Ellio on Bobo 103.1.
And welcome back, K-Man, to more Straight Talk here on Bobo 103.1 FM. Simulcasting live over YouTube and Facebook under the key search words Straight Talk Radio Show. You can also find us streaming live on the ACT Cruise Tourism page on Facebook as well, with your hosts, Ellio Solomon, myself, Austin Harris, and our very special and distinguished guest here on the program, the president of the Cayman Islands Football Association, Mr. Alfredo Whitaker. I want to say the phone lines are open. They certainly are. And if you want to participate in the discussion, the number to call is 745-2626. You can call up and ask a question or even offer a kind word or a statement to President Alfredo Whitaker, who's been at the helm for going on 8 years, and talking a little bit about his accomplishments, talking about some of the challenges he discovered when taking up his high office, and really what's next for the association and, of course, the game of football in the Cayman Islands. If talking isn't your thing, you can always reach out to us on our WhatsApp line by dialing 928-2562. And from there, you can either send us a traditional WhatsApp text message, or you can get creative and send us a WhatsApp audio note. Either way, we will share your comments and questions live on air. And unlike the telephone lines, certainly the WhatsApp line, unless otherwise stipulated by the writer or the callers, all persons will remain anonymous unless stipulated otherwise. When we were, during the last segment, we were taking a look at the annual budget for CIFA, which, again, to your credit as an organization, it's very transparent about its numbers. These numbers are available either online or on their website, and certainly if you attend the annual General Congress, these documents are made available to all members, all players, and all clubs. But looking at the 2024 annual statements and the 2025 budget estimates, CIFA received $2,390,000 in funding. That comes from places like FIFA financial assistance, CONCACAF, FIFA grants, CONCACAF Nations League, gate receipts, Caribbean Football Union TV rights, Caribbean Football Union tournament revenue, and of course a grant from the Cayman Islands government to the tune of $150,000. I noted in the 2024 annual statements that CIFA also applied for an additional capital allowance from FIFA to the tune of US $3.8 million in 2024, which really works out to about an additional $1.47 million in revenue in addition to the 2.3. Did you receive that from FIFA?
Yes and no.
Okay.
The reason why is because in some years we have additional tournament, and the cost of travel is extremely high. Fortunately for the Cayman Islands Football Association, all of our national team are out of the Group C, that is the lower group, and now we are in Group B. So we travel more. We travel to further countries, and obviously that is more expense. We also have the situation of most of our travel is we have to overnight. We don't have a early morning flight anymore that would put us in Miami at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock. Now we leave at midday. We have to overnight, and we have to get to the other destination. Sometimes like the U15 that just returned from Aruba, we had to split the group. So one group overnight in Miami, one was in Charlotte, and they come separate. Going to Trinidad this week, we have the same situation, and with the senior men national team also. And as mentioned earlier, we decide to take the national teams to Europe, take them out of the comfort of the Caribbean, take them out of the comfort of Central America, where they would have a better opportunity to showcase the talent.
And get more experience.
They get much more experience. and that is a plus. That is a plus for us. We apply for these amount. When we finish travel, we would present the invoices to FIFA,
right,
and they would pay whatever is being utilized at the time.
Yeah.
It's not said that FIFA send you the money right away because you ask for it. You have to justify, and you have to apply, and this have to go to a special department where they review and approve. Is not like is worse than asking for a loan at the bank.
Yeah. Well, I want to change lanes a little bit from the figures on paper, perhaps, the figures on the field. And I know that you have your background. You're not just always been the president. You were actually a player. And I think persons listening would clearly have the question and concern to say, as a big scope, one, I think they wanted to hear about these reputational things and the challenges that you had, and pleased to know that you overcome them. But the bigger question is, where is Cayman football going? And everybody wants to see Cayman do better in terms of those teams that are going overseas. Maybe not going to win the World Cup today, but being able to show that progression. And I'm wondering, bringing all the experience that you have to bear, both as a player and having worked your way up through the ranks, what is it going to take? What are some of the deficits? What are some of the shortcomings? What is it that we need as a country, as an organization, as a team, to be able to achieve that?
Thank you for that question. I think, and I'm sure, that if I was the president 20 years ago, guarantee we would have one or two surprises.
Mm-hmm.
Now is more difficult. And the reason why, in the past, and you know this, we would have good youth teams in East End, good youth teams in North Side.
Mm-hmm.
Bordentown would have 4 or 5 teams. Cayman Athletic would have another 4 or 5 teams. You would have 7 teams from West Bay. You would have another 4 teams from Georgetown. You used to have all of these good, talented players.
I remember.
Right? But if you remember also, there were never, ever a direction of what we're going to do with these players, nor from the clubs, nor from CIFA. So you would have good national teams that would go, participate, do well. Upon return, everybody disappear. We have a tournament coming up. 3 months before tournament, they would bring the team together, put them together, you go and play. There was never a segment where we say we have a tournament in June. We're going to bring the team in from January. We're going to play a couple of friendly matches here. We're going to take them to this camp. It was never there.
But it wasn't a real sort of sustained effort.
Never. Now we are trying to do so. But now we have big challenge because you have 3 major academies that have completely absorbed all of the talented players. So when you play a U15 tournament or a U17 tournament, the competition is not there. It's not that you have 4 or 5 teams that going to have a good competition, that you're going out there and you know that anyone could win.
Mm-hmm.
Now you go and you play, you have some clubs that have, I know, like 700-800 young players.
Right.
You have another club that have most of the young, talented female players. You have another club that have another mix. And then Bordentown have issues to get 2 or 3 youth teams. Cayman Athletic have issues to get 2 or 3 youth teams. And I call these names because it was the traditional team.
Yeah.
Georgetown Sports Club only have 1 or 2 teams. Right? So we start to see an increase in players, but a decrease
in competition.
And that is detrimental in the development.
I wonder if you would offer your comment on these things. I mean, we obviously hear, we come with our own hypothesis, Austin and I, and we hear things from other persons. Again, you haven't been a person that's worked his way up the rank. Offer up your commentary. One of the arguments is that, clearly we should be able to have enough competition where you can go out there and be spotting the talent that exists and being able to put together a number. Let's say that's an arbitrary number that you've picked the top 20 players or 22 players, seeing as how 22 seems to be the magic number lately. And that if the arguments is that we don't have that sustained funding for these persons. They have to be working. They can't necessarily focus on the game all the time. And that really what you need is to be able to provide them, even though it was something basic, it might be $5,000 a month, $6,000 for the year, where these persons can be going out and engaging in the competition as you're talking about. And of course, that's in also works out to be a bit of a shortlisting process as well. But by being able to provide the funding, having a clear direction, sustain competition between them so that you can do some of this selection process, does that allow us to be able to work closer to getting a national team that can go and have a victory? And don't hesitate to tell me that we're wrong.
No, at all.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, that's what all of us would like to achieve. We are a privileged country.
Yeah.
And our players and the parents of our players, you could have right now a very good national team. But the priority of the players and the parents of these players is education. So sooner or later, you're going to have them migrate to the US, Canada, the UK. Once they leave the Cayman Islands, you may have 15 or 20% of that group of players that go out there that going to continue to be dedicated in preparing themselves, in getting better, and dedicating more time in training. They're going to start to dedicate that time in studies because they're out on scholarship. They don't want to lose that scholarship. Right? So we have some challenge here. In other countries, they don't have that challenge. And they have a major or a bigger pool of players. And this is not excuse. We managed to put a young national team, our national team that we have right now, the age average is 23 years old. We have young players, the two goalkeepers, one 18, one just turned 19.
No, well, it's a very interesting point because even as we discussed it, I don't remember that coming up, right? And just to touch on that, because I know my colleague wants to jump in too, but just to follow up on that issue, because you're saying that a big loss of the talent is because the students and or the parents are saying you need to go to college, go to university. And so that means somewhere in the back of somebody's mind, they're saying, I don't necessarily see a future in the soccer. What I need to do is I need to get an education because I'm not sure this is going to work out. Because let's say we could guarantee something. Let's say we could say, I can guarantee you that you'll be put on a team and you'll be making $1 million tomorrow. You probably wouldn't have them thinking about university. Am I right? And the question therefore is, when you also talk about the other countries don't have that, why is that? Is it a case because we don't have necessarily the same universities that it could attend here while doing the soccer? Expand on that a little bit.
Cayman, from what I know, Cayman is the only Caribbean country that not only government but different entities provide you with a large number of scholarship. You have a lot of people that leave this island and
that go overseas.
And they don't want to lose that scholarship.
But that makes an argument. Why aren't we, to that point, why aren't we making more of a focus? But we have universities here too. And this is something we don't understand also. You know, the ICCI, it's like you can get a degree anywhere in the world. It's better than whatever you have here.
You know, because we don't believe in our quality.
Yeah, okay. That sounds like that to me.
Well, when we talk about education and the game of football, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, but through proper development programs, whether it be youth and primary leagues or, camps that, focus in on some of the top tier players. And, we've seen opportunities for our players to gain catch the eye of what do they call it? Those persons that go around looking for talent, scouts. And we've seen those scouts take on board some of our local talent, give them scholarships, whether it be to U.S. schools or European schools. So there has been, and arguably there's a lot of room for education and the sport of football to grow together, no?
We have quite a few of players that had left the island, and 2 or 3 months after that, they drop out the system.
Right. Okay. Yeah, because I would have.
They come right back, right? We had player here that was in Belgium, ready to be signed. And next thing we know, the money's in came on.
What happened?
What is that?
He
didn't make the cut.
No, he did make the cut. When they went to look for him to sign his contract, he was out.
Why do you think that is?
Huh?
Why do you think that is? Just cold feet?
Could be.
Could be.
And there is number of players. I don't want to no one to feel no way, right? But in my days, we had much more talent than what we had now. And one of the reasons why is because we didn't spend so many time inside the house playing games, or we used to play more football.
Yeah.
Anywhere you go, you would find 6, 7 of us playing a little 6-a-side, 5-a-side, 3v3. No, you don't have that.
You talked about earlier on that, you were reminiscing 20 years ago, the game of football was much stronger. You had clubs in Georgetown, you had clubs in East End, you had clubs in West Bay, you had clubs in Bodden Town. And overall, they offered strong pickings, if you will, for the national team. And the national team was more broad and more diverse. Now fast forward to our current era, where, again, in your own words, you say that the national team is drawing from as little as 3 clubs. I would put it to you that 75% of the current national team come from 1 club. And when you talk to the clubs, they criticize CIFA for the lack of funding and support that is given in dollar terms to help these local clubs, I think there's some 19 of them, develop their local talent, suggesting that out of the 2.3 or $3.8 million, a paltry sum is given to the clubs to help them develop and help them produce the same national player type level outcome as we did in the past. How do you answer that?
Organization. We go back to show me what you have. Right? I'm not in agreement in supporting a club that not going to provide me with 5 or 6 national team players. It is not correct. We have clubs here where, unfortunately, before my time, we have clubs, and at this time you could play with 11 foreign players. That shouldn't be.
Well, just curious on that, in terms of these clubs, when you talk about CIFA earlier on, you talked about your constitution. One of the things you said is your constitution, for example, calls for a specific board as it deals with the finances, but you've decided to go to one external. And I think everyone would agree with that. Because of that externality, it seems more independent and allow you to be able to progress with CIFA. And I mention all of that to simply say, is it not then CIFA that should be offering some kind of an overarching direction and constitution as to what these clubs have to do in order to get some funding and so on?
It's not so that CIFA don't provide the club with funding, right? I have to report what I give to you, and you have to report to me what you did with what I give to you.
Yeah.
It's not like I give you this and you do whatever, because I have to report.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm 100% in agreement.
I'm coming to you. Right?
Okay, gotcha.
So when we increase the prize monies, we almost like double it. The clubs receive free footballs. The clubs receive free uniforms. The clubs, when you have to travel overseas, the clubs that go and represent the Cayman Islands in the CFU tournament, they receive $20,000 from CIFA to help them to participate. Right? We need, and the clubs need, and we have to compromise ourselves. The clubs need to get better organized. We cannot have 3 or 4 clubs to be well organized and the rest of the clubs not organized. You have to get well organized and you have to say, this is where we are, this is what we have, this is what we need. We have 4 junior team. We have a U13, we have a U15, we have a U17. We have another 2 girls, a U13, a U15. We need CIFA to help us with XYZ to keep this I'm pretty sure, I'm 100% sure that the finance would be provided.
Yeah, well, I mean, again,
right? Organization is key to success.
Maybe I'm missing something, but I just go over it again because I'm saying FIFA, for example, World Organization would clearly be putting clear stipulations in place that they want CIFA, Cayman Islands Football Association, to meet. Failing to do that, you're going to have issues in terms of financing.
We have to.
Correct. And clearly you're doing a good job. You're doing that. Now, I'm saying, isn't it then CIFA to set the rules for these clubs locally and say that you have to do X, Y, and Z or you're not going to get the funding? Are you able to do that?
It worked like that.
Okay.
It worked like that. But so, you have to. There is key to this, Ellio. You need to have some sort of pride, right? You want to see your house clean. If your brother not going to clean it, you're going to find a way to get it clean because you want to see your house clean.
Yeah.
Right? And the club should operate like that. The club should have that pride to say, my club have to be the best club. And I'm going to look for these 2 or 3 persons that are going to help me to organize my club in this way. That going to help me to put this stuff that I could present and I could demand. And that's the way it should be. We get used to freedom, to be free. So there is not, I don't know, the clubs don't do anything to help themselves.
Right.
We said to the clubs, organize the gate, right? And whatever you collect at the gate is yours. Could be $1,000, could be $3,000. It haven't been one club to call and say the game on Friday, I want to organize the game, the gate, help me with X, Y, Z. Haven't been one club. Because we get used, and I don't want to divert this the other way, because we have the same situation here in Cayman, right? We get used that that department every month give you a couple of dollars to pay for your light bill, to pay for your rent, right? So we get used to that.
They use it as a handout.
Right. But when you retire at 70, you don't have a pension. So the government going to continue to help you. And then where you could be helping somebody else, you're not looking at that side because you continue to help someone that you helped from there was like 35 years old until retirement. And the clubs, and this is one, this can be a petition. Let's get together and let's work things out and let's see how we could provide a better assistance and how you could function better as a club, where you could provide every year 2, 3, 4 youth teams. Let's don't hide behind the youth teams. Let's bring the youth out. Don't hide. We hiding behind them, you know. Oh, the youth team came on. Stop hiding behind them. Right? Stand up in front of them. Protect them. Showcase them. Help them. But don't put them there as a barrier and say, oh, the youth of Cayman, we're not doing nothing. Let's do the opposite.
I think one of the things that we've discussed that seems to be missing as well is that there's really no one to just really drive and champion things, right? We talked earlier on, for example, about colleges and universities. And one could argue that if you had, and again, this is not to just pick on this government or any government, it's just a fact. If you had someone championing these things and marketing it and selling it to young people, that we have one of the best universities in the world. Because I've been overseas, and you can't really tell me that there's some big, huge difference. I mean, you're working in some older buildings, but you need that championing. If you can do that, you can start to motivate people and moralize them to actually feel like they're actually involved with something positive. But when we come back from the break, I want to go in that direction as well.
Absolutely. It is 59 minutes past the hour, 5 o'clock, and we do have to pause, take a short commercial break. But our conversation with President Alfredo Whitaker from the Cayman Islands Football Association continues when we return on Bobo FM.
Bobo.
The BBC's From Our Own Correspondent.
In today's Russia, no one is allowed anywhere near the political stage if they pose a serious challenge to Vladimir Putin.
Stories and reflections from our reporters around the world.
There is a major sense of insecurity here. More people are coming in from Sudan every day.
From Our Own Correspondent from the BBC.
The home of the BBC World Service. This is Bobo FM.
How can we understand the world better?
The BBC World Service is a window onto the wider world.
A vantage point from which to survey a new horizon.
News, reports, and analysis from around the world.
Stories we think matter.
Different people from different societies.
We get to the heart of global issues.
News, stories, and global perspectives from the BBC World Service.
The home of the BBC World Service. This is Bobo FM. The BBC is the world's most trusted news source. And Bobo 103.1 is where you'll find the BBC World Service.
BBC News, the world news from the BBC.
And the home of Cayman's most listened to talk shows.
That's right, folks. Everyone is telling their mama about the cold hard truth.
And welcome to Straight Talk. I'm your host, Austin Harris.
And I'm Ellio Solomon.
Across Cayman, on FM, online, and on your smart speaker. This is Bobo 103.1. This is Bobo 103.1, powered by Health Services Authority. At Health Services Authority, they are committed to caring for you. They are Cayman's largest and longest-standing healthcare provider, offering the most comprehensive range of inpatient, outpatient, and public health services at 9 different locations across all 3 islands. Across Cayman on 103.1 FM, online, and on your smart speaker. The home of the BBC World Service. This is Bobo 103.1.
BBC World News, I'm Tom Dewsbury. Hello. The Democratic Mayor of Washington, D.C., Muriel Bowser, says President Trump's deployment of the National Guard to the city is unsettling and unprecedented. She rejected his claims that crime in the capital city was out of control, pointing to a huge reduction in recent years. Here's our North America correspondent, Nomi Rickbal.
Brian Schwab, who's the elected Attorney General of the District of Columbia, he said that this was unprecedented, unnecessary and unlawful. And many of his critics also say, if you look at the US in total, there are a lot of states where there are worse murder rates. DC obviously isn't a state, but there are parts of America where it's worse, like Mississippi, Louisiana and Alabama. But these are red states. And so Donald Trump is accused by his critics of going on some sort of revenge tour and only targeting Democratic-leaning places.
US media say President Trump's agreed a delay in the imposition of higher tariffs on Chinese goods as talks continue on a trade agreement. Reports say he's signed an executive order postponing the steeper duties for another 90 days. US tariffs had been due to soar, possibly to more than 100% on Tuesday, which would have drawn similar import taxes from China. Earlier, Mr. Trump told reporters that relations between Washington and Beijing had improved.
We've been dealing very nicely with China, as you probably have heard. They have tremendous tariffs that they're paying to the United States of America. And we'll see what happens. They've been dealing quite nicely. The relationship is very good with President Xi and myself.
The Nigerian Air Force says it's carried out raids on the hideouts of criminal gangs in a forested area in northwestern Zamfara state, killing what it said were scores of bandits. Chris Iwoko reports.
The authorities said about 400 gunmen were massed in Makakari Forest
in preparation for an attack when they were struck. They said the operation involved precision airstrikes and ground assaults, resulting in the deaths of several notorious bandit leaders and scores of their foot soldiers. Over the past weeks, armed gangs have targeted villages in parts of Zamfara, killing scores of people and kidnapping many more. Kidnapping for ransom is thriving in Nigeria, encouraging criminal gangs to increase their cooperation with jihadist groups who are waging a 16-year-old armed insurgency in the northeast.
Iraq is experiencing a near nationwide electricity outage after high temperatures led to a surge in the demand for power. The country is facing a heat wave, which is expected to last more than a week, with temperatures approaching 50 Celsius. Generally unreliable power supply means most Iraqi households use private generators, but they're often not sufficient for all appliances, including air conditioners. The government says engineers are gradually working to restore power. World news from the BBC. The British Prime Minister Keir Starmer and his Canadian counterpart Mark Carney have said a peace agreement for Ukraine must not be imposed on the country, but built with it. Their warning comes ahead of a summit between President Trump and the Russian leader in Alaska on Friday, which has led to concerns Ukraine and Europe are being sidelined. Speaking to the BBC, the EU's foreign policy chief, Kaja Kallas, said Ukraine needed to be at the table.
It is clear that Russia will present outrageous goals, and they haven't really changed their goals at all. And now it is up to us to put the pressure on Russia so that they would also want peace and support Ukraine so that they are ready to defend themselves.
Funerals have been held in Gaza City for 5 journalists from the news channel Al Jazeera who were killed in a targeted Israeli strike on Sunday night, including the prominent reporter Anas al-Sharif. The BBC understands before the war he worked for a Hamas media team, but Israel accuses him of posing as a journalist while serving as the head of a Hamas cell. The New York-based Committee to Protect Journalists has accused Israel of failing to provide evidence to back up its allegations. There have been calls for a thorough investigation into the killing of the Colombian senator and presidential hopeful Miguel Uribe. The Conservative politician died today from gunshot wounds sustained at a campaign rally in June. The UN Secretary-General said those responsible must be brought to justice, a call echoed by Washington. The US State Department says it's designating the Pakistani separatist group, the Baluchistan Liberation Army, or BLA, as a foreign terrorist organization. The BLA is the strongest of a number of insurgent groups long operating in the province of Baluchistan, bordering Iran and Afghanistan. The rebels, who want greater political autonomy, have carried out deadly attacks on security forces and other targets. BBC World News.
Opinions expressed on Straight Talk with Austin and Ellio do not necessarily reflect or represent the views of Stingray Media, its staff, or contributors. Callers to the program accept full responsibility for the views expressed. The show host and affiliates are not liable for any statements made or any harm claimed. All callers to the program indemnify Straight Talk from all claims. Offensive, defamatory, or unlawful content will not be tolerated. Be a part of the conversation by calling 745-2626. Now, here's Straight Talk with Austin and Ellio on Bobo 103.1.
And welcome back, K-Man, to more Straight Talk here on Bobo 103.1 FM, where, just like the sign says on the door, we're having some real straight talk from the man himself, the president of the Cayman Islands Football Association, on what obtains in the sport of football, the good, the bad, and perhaps maybe even some of the ugly. You know, we were talking about in the last segment what is different today than what it was in the old days. And again, I think it's important to recap it, because it says to teach us to repeat. In the old days, we had strong football clubs in Georgetown and West Bay and Bodden Town and East End. You may have 5 great players on each team, and all of those teams were funneling players up to the national team ranks. And, you know, we're all family here, so we know a lot of these players. Arguably, one has to ask the question, why weren't some of the greats that we remember, why aren't they in the Premier League? Why aren't they, you know, on a vast professional contract? And I guess why is the ultimate question. But then we fast forward to our current era, where you again share, I think, rather earth-shattering news that unlike the old days where we had 19 teams funneling players up to the national team level, now we have 3 teams with all the best players, and they're the ones feeding the national team program. And what separates them from the other 16? In a word, organization.
Organization, dedication. These clubs.
Little pride in what you do, you said.
Yeah.
Pride.
Absolutely.
These clubs had decided to bring in coaches from overseas. It had made a big difference in the organization, in the credibility of the players. I think after a while, the players, all of us that played, after a while, you need a change, especially when the result is the same, right? You need a change. And I could talk about this. In my 16 years of professional career, I had maybe 20 or 25 different coaches, and each one of them with different mentality and different way. Depends on the team that you have or the quality of the players that you had. If we go back a little bit, not too much because they're going to find out that we're getting old. If you go back a little bit, in West Bay you had Scholars, West Bay United, you had Future that had just formed, and before that you had like Boca Juniors. You had like wow. You go to East End, that was a tough cookie. Button down with the berries and them, that was a tough cookie.
Yes, indeed.
Right? Georgetown had 2 clubs.
Yes.
You have one and Strikers, and you go like, and now CNB.
Yes.
My first club was a great club.
Yes.
Great club.
Yes. You were the goalkeeper for CNB, as memory serves correct.
So, is times like changed so drastically? Yeah. You had Sunset, you had Police, you had Roma. Right? When you would play against Roma, Roma Latinos or Roma Island Air that used to be, right? That place used to be packed.
Yep.
Right.
Had a huge following.
Oh my God, we had so many talented players. You go West Bay, the place full. We used to play West Bay, Georgetown, and Truman Button. Even time. And now we struggle. We struggle. We talk about being semi-professional or professional. Gates are open. FIFA don't charge $1 to go and watch a game. The only game is the Charity Shields, because that is a donation.
Right.
Give it to some organization, right? And we still can't make $5,000.
Wow. At one stage, you had proposed televising the games and maybe 1 or 2 games of the weekend and have them played on local television. Obviously, the TV station kind of went belly up for a while, and that kind of put the kibosh on those plans. But now we see TV back in, on the scene. Is that something we can look forward to in the future?
We've been 1 game per week on a FIFA platform, so the entire world could see the Premier League in came on.
Perfect, and that's played on an online platform.
Online platform.
Terrific.
So everybody could see it. So it's a lot of little things.
Yes, indeed. And we say to those, 3 clubs that dominate the football scene right now, I mean, it's easy for the other 16 to be jealous, but it's no secret recipe in terms of how they achieved success. They, thought outside the box. They got creative. They went out into the community and found sponsorship. You got parents, offering to pay a little bit more for their children and their development. And again, it's not a secret recipe that's hidden from view. It's available to everybody. It's just that some clubs do it better than others. But here is the rub. When you have 75% of players for the national team coming from, say, one club, clearly you will agree that that gives that one club a lot of influence on the national team program. Yes or no?
Maybe.
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 Coach Joey Japp, I want to get on that. I know it's a sensitive topic, but I want to find out. I wasn't going to let you
it's not
pass without asking that question.
Nothing is sensitive.
You got rid of him days before a World Cup qualifier, and undoubtedly that must have had a impact on the psyche of the players who, love this guy. Maybe I'm wrong, but tell me, why'd you dump your head coach so soon going into the World Cup qualifiers?
Straight talk?
Yes, straight talk.
There we are. You see, you're wrong. The players was very happy.
And again, I'm glad you said they were very happy. Why were they very happy? I know why, but I want to hear what you have to say.
Because they wasn't happy with him.
Well, they weren't happy with him. And again, this is where I say how one club can influence a national team program. As I understand now, correct me if I'm wrong.
I will.
Coach Japp did not want to elevate a certain player to the national team, which came from that one club. The other players from that one club didn't agree with that decision, hence the reason why they didn't give him his support. Right. But once he's gone, then everybody's happy again.
No.
No?
That's not correct.
Okay.
For you to have, and for everyone that is listening, the director of the national team who is responsible for that is Dion Brandon.
Okay.
Right? And he is assisted by our two local coaches, that is Colin Rowe and Garth Anderson. And if you look around, players that traditionally used to be part of national team because of their behavior and their ways and their thing are not longer part of national team. When Joey left the Cayman Islands, he was guaranteed to return to his job. Right? Someone down the line started to tell him that he would be replaced by this particular coach. Mm-hmm. I called Joey and I said to Joey, I said, Joey, how can you even think about being replaced with the work that you are doing?
Right.
Joey said to me, President, I believe you, XYZ. When Joey came back, was a totally different person. Right? Totally different person. I speak with his assistant coach. I speak with the person responsible, that is Mr. Brandon, responsible for the overall functional of the national team. I speak with our general secretary, and all of us came to that something was not right. He was just not the same person. I think is the passing of his mom have him not properly thinking and dealing with things the way he used to deal with, because his mom died tragically. Heart attack. I speak with the lady like half an hour. We had a meeting by SIFA, but when he get there, he was crying. I said, look, what happened? My mom passed. Mm-hmm. And we had just speak with the lady. So all of that stuff, I think, maybe, but he was not. And then the treatment towards the player was not the same.
Okay.
Right? And a very young player, 16 years old, asked him a question and he blew up on the player.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I was away at the time, and he called me and he said to me, that's it for me. I'm done. I said, Joey, I don't take in your resignation. I'm back, came on tomorrow. We sit down and talk. We sit down, we talk, and he's the same, but he was very, different, a totally different person.
Right.
And that start to get to the players.
Right.
So they wasn't taking this yelling. And I said to him, why are you yelling? Why are you going like that? These players, believe me, you, Austin, it come to a point where Joey had said to them, we're training at 5 o'clock, 4:30, everyone is there. We're training at 6, 6:30 they're there, right? And as the president, I would never allow, and I would not allow no player to be bigger than a national team.
Right.
No player is bigger than a club, much less a national team.
Indeed.
So there is rule and regulations in that national team. You're in or you're out. And that's the reason why at this young age, the national team is very young. We're doing extremely well. We had a situation in Bermuda that was criticized, but nobody knew that we left here late because of American. The players could not get a connection to get to Bermuda because Bermuda airport closed at 10. So there was no hotel for them. They had to stay at the airport. Left early morning to get into Bermuda and play in the evening. It's impossible to go on, right?
Yeah.
Right? They came here, and with all of the criticism and everything that was said, they stand up high and had the entire Honduranian population and nation sweating. Right? That was a highlight of these players.
Right.
Everybody was expecting for Honduras to beat us 5, 6, 7, 8. Didn't happen. Right? We went to Martinique. We went to Guadeloupe. We went to St. Kitts and Nevis. The results are very tight. We win our group. We're in Group B. Big. To be in a Group B is big. And be careful if next 2-3 years they don't surprise somebody.
Right.
So
do you believe in your heart and what you've seen and obviously what you know that Cayman can, in the years still to come, I don't know what it's going to take for us to get there, but be regionally successful, if not internationally successful? I don't want to say too much and say, maybe there's a World Cup in our future, but while you're sitting here, why not? I mean, down the road, can we see a successful, consistently successful, winning Cayman Islands national football team of the future?
Yeah. What we need support. And I'm not talking about $1 million. I'm talking about the population. When we play, your national team has to feel your support.
Mm-hmm.
Right? When we do any activity, the national team has to feel the support.
If I could just jump in, I mean, that's where I was going on before we had to go to the break. And this is where I believe that you need, amongst other things, you need a political champion on some of these things, because I'm kind of gathering that people have lost the fire inside of them, and it's more so about having that fire as opposed to simply saying I've got the money. And this is where I focus on your point, for example, about the university. A person might be getting up tomorrow and say, oh, well, I want to go over to the United States to go to university. But why? Because it's marketed to him to be something better. But not necessarily because they've actually done a real comparison. Maybe the university here is just as good. Maybe the university, I don't know, UCCI, ICCI. But because you don't have that marketing, you don't have that sort of championing of something, you don't get that level of support. You talk about persons not necessarily coming out to soccer. Well, why aren't you coming out? It's something that the crowd is not feeling motivated about it. If it was a international team, if you said you were bringing, I don't know, Chelsea, I'm sure they'd be out. So what do you think we need to do that? Do you think that if we had a political champion, do you think that would help? What do we need to do? Some persons suggest, for example, that you could be bringing some of our people who are already involved with different sports and bringing them home and all of these things, utilizing it to kind of motivate and put fire in persons. I'm wondering what you think it takes to relight that fire inside of persons as it relates to soccer.
Definitely winning.
A victory.
You need a big victory. You need to have important activity. We need to remember, Cayman used to bring some big teams, right? We need to find a way to bring big teams. But the market is different now. Any team that would come to Cayman, any big team, they're looking for big amount of money to come.
Right.
Right? In the past, they would come here for free. Now you take a club to Qatar or Dubai, they guarantee them $3, $4, $5 million for presentation only.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So we need to find a way. My personal belief, I think.
But if I could just jump in on that, right? Because I remember at one point in time, I think it would have been the late Thomas Jefferson, who, for example, I remember they had given Cayman status to even some amount of football players or whatever. But to that point, what then if you can't bring the entire team? What happens if you try to bring some of these, one or two of the individuals? Because that in itself would be a big motivating factor, I would imagine.
Well, there is things that going to happen, right? For me personally, and the executive committee agree that we need to get things in order first, right? We needed to have a good foundation.
Right.
We need to finish the house,
mm-hmm.
and then now we could add to the house.
Right.
We have some important things that would happen. We have important events that will happen in Cayman, and the time is soon.
Yes.
But we had to go through rebuilding.
I was gonna say, yeah, not just building, but rebuilding.
Rebuilding.
Renovations is still more expensive,
Where people could be more confident
in the organization.
Right? I think, and I know we're running out of time now, but I think that with the help of the clubs need to be better organized. The clubs need to get well organized, and then we could talk about the next phase of football in Cayman.
Yeah.
Right? So there is things that you could do on your own. And my responsibility as the president of the association is for our national teams to have what they need to compete. Right? But also it extends to the clubs. Each club's, your responsibility as a club should be your well-functioning club. And then you could come, and then you could seek the other club to join you, another one to join you. That's where you become friends and make this chain. And then when you have your chain, that is strong chain, you come at CIFA. Because we have this and we're going to help you with this and we could provide you with this. We need you to provide us with this.
Let me just ask one question very quickly. In order for the success of any national team, but any success of any league team depends heavily on your youth development. And correct me if I'm wrong, but there was a time when there was a rule that in order for any league team to participate in the premiership, you had to have a youth program. But that rule somehow got scrapped along the way. Why is that?
Youth program or a female team, right? Now, the teams, we have that rule still in place, but it's not the same as how it used to be, right? Now the teams to be compliant with it, they would just go and just grab the kids and that's it, put them to play because we're complying with the rule. But the whole purpose of that rule was to take these kids, to work with the kids, to help the kids, to develop the kids and to put them to play. Not just to grab them. Indeed. And it's amazingly, when you go to the CUC, interprimary school, every single school participate with an A and B side, and almost every single school have all of these little girls, right? But the moment that league finish, half of those players disappear, and then the club say, "We don't have no players."
Well, Mr. Whitaker, we are out of time. But I want to thank you for the education you provided ourselves and our listening audience. And without taking up too much time of your closing comments, you got about a minute. The floor is yours for any final remarks of your own.
No, just give you, you and Ellio, thanks for the opportunity to be here. And for the large group, I have a large group of people that always approach me, receive a phone call or a text, telling me, you're doing good. Congratulations, continue. It will only get better, right? And for those that get in that little corner and make those little comments, it's good also. Because out of all of that criticism, it always gave me room to improve. And out of all of those criticism, always we have something that I'm missing, and because of the critics, they bring it to my attention. So I don't feel no way. I was a referee.
You were, indeed. And we hope that we can maintain these open door policies. We'd very much like to have you back as a guest in studio so we can continue to, as you say, grow together as a community, get behind our team, and maybe support them to greatness. But thank you very much. That's all the time we have. See you tomorrow, Kim.
The home of the BBC World Service, the most trusted news source in the world. This is Bobo 103.1. The following commercial messages are brought to you exclusively by Stingray Media.
When it comes to cooking for my family, I turn to Kirk Market for all our nutritional needs. Whether whipping up a quick stir fry with lean CAB choice beef or preparing a healthy weekend dinner with fresh local snapper, Kirk Market always has exactly what I need. At Kirk Market, I find premium proteins that keep my family healthy, energetic, and always coming back for seconds. Visit Kirk Market today. Bring home the quality and freshness your family deserves. Kirk Market. Eat well, live well, and